Here did possess a background that resonates with very many Kenyans who are hustling out there, and members who are here, Honorable Speaker, who would also be an inspiration to many Kenyans out there. And I must take this opportunity, Honorable Speaker, to particularly point out somebody like the Honorable Aisha Jumwa. In consideration of Aisha Jumwa's background, Honorable Speaker, and many Kenyans who are watching, the Honorable Aisha Jumwa was not able to just take the committee through her very humble background and a very humble beginning in a family, in a huge family of 47 children. But she was able to clearly articulate the struggles that she has had to struggle through school, dropping out of school, getting pregnant and bearing children at a very young age in Form 2, but recollecting and picking up her life again, going back to school, educating herself all the way to university, Honorable Speaker, being elected and nominated as an MCA, eventually being elected as a Kilifi Women Rep and member for Malindi, and eventually, Honorable Speaker, running for governor. And as much as she never made it for governor, Honorable Speaker, finding favor in the eyes of the president to nominate her as cabinet secretary in charge of the public service, Honorable Speaker. And I remember her response to the Honorable Kosing when she told the Honorable Kosing that she is not just an inspiration to the girl child in Kenya, but particularly to the girl child in West Pokot, the county where the Honorable Kosing comes. And many of our backgrounds, many of our constituents in the counties, where young women, young girls are dropping out of school because of early pregnancies in their teenage years, others through forced marriages. And she stated that she is indeed an inspiration to many of these young girls who then can recollect themselves, pick up their lives, and be able to make something out of their lives. And I indeed want to commend the Honorable Aisha Jumwa. And even as we recommend her approval today, it is bearing in mind that she has demonstrated that despite the challenges that have been laid out in the minority report, and it is indeed true, as the Honorable Junet was indicating, there is indeed an appendix to this report or at the back of the main report, Honorable Speaker. The last few pages you will find a minority report touching on the Honorable Mithika Linturi and the Honorable Aisha Jumwa. Honorable Speaker, it's important to note, and Honorable Junet did point it out, that it is indeed within the rights of any member of parliament sitting in a committee or even in plenary like this to debate, agree, and disagree. And indeed, on the question of the approval, we did agree to approve all the nominees unanimously in the committee. And even the rejection, Honorable Speaker, that is proposed in this report was unanimous in the committee without taking a vote. But on the two nominees, the Honorable Aisha Jumwa and the Honorable Mithika Linturi, we did take a vote in the committee, and 10 of us voted for approval for both candidates, the Honorable Aisha Jumwa and the Honorable Mithika Linturi. 7 recorded their dissent, and that is where they have put their dissenting report on the Honorable Aisha Jumwa, with 1 member, the Honorable Mishi, abstaining. 8 recorded their dissent on the Honorable Mithika Linturi. And it is within their right, Honorable Speaker, and we respect that. Just like I want to ask members to listen to each other, respect each other's views. The views in this report are those of the committee, having considered what came before them and what was said before them. And Honorable Speaker, it is important, Honorable Speaker, to also point out that the Constitution also spells out certain criteria, Honorable Speaker, and requirements, statutory requirements, Honorable Speaker, that should be adhered to in appointment of persons to public office. And among us, this, Honorable Speaker, is a question of the 2/3 gender rule, and I want to confirm to the House that indeed that criteria has been met through the appointment of the nominees proposed by His Excellency the President. 2 is representation of regional and ethnic diversity. That, again, members will appreciate that there is a very good semblance of regional balance, ethnic balance, and also our diversity as a country. Honorable Speaker, we cannot say that, unlike in previous times, that this is a cabinet that represents only the areas that voted for His Excellency the President. President William Ruto appreciates that he is now elected to serve the people of Kenya without favor and without fear and without regard to those who voted for him and those who did not vote for him and or his administration. That is why he has nominated people from across the country. I know with only 22 members serving in cabinet, it is not possible to cover all our counties. But in terms of regional balance, ethnic diversity, I think these nominees do meet that requirement. On leadership and integrity, Honorable Speaker, is also a requirement that we look at leadership and integrity in line with our Constitution. Honorable Speaker, I want to confirm that indeed, having gone through the provisions of the Constitution, Honorable Speaker, and what is required of us, Honorable Speaker, we did ensure, or rather the committee ensured, that all the nominees were able to prove to the committee that they are beyond reproach. Honorable Speaker, I want to emphasize, Honorable Speaker, the need for all our nominees to prove that they are beyond reproach, Honorable Speaker. And I know there are those who are of a different view in the minority, Honorable Speaker, especially on the two nominees, Honorable Speaker. But all the matters, Honorable Speaker, that were conversed in the committee, Honorable Speaker, both on Aisha Jumwa, Honorable Speaker, there are charges that have been leveled against the Honorable Aisha Jumwa, and indeed affidavits were even filed against Aisha Jumwa, against Mithika Linturi, one against Professor Njuguna Ndung'u, and the committee was able to consider all these petitions and memoranda that were filed by members of the public in line with the constitutional provisions to allow for public participation. And indeed, the people of Kenya did not just exercise their right to public participation by submitting memoranda to the National Assembly to be considered as we vetted these people, but they also participated in the actual vetting of these nominees. Since the fourth estate, Honorable Speaker, as we thank them and appreciate the work that they did to cover the proceedings from morning to all the way to late in the evening, Honorable Speaker, through the fourth estate, Honorable Speaker, and our media agencies and media companies, Kenyans were able to participate in the vetting. And I must appreciate millions and thousands of Kenyans who supported the committee, vetted these nominees together with us, and would even send in questions by SMS and WhatsApp, and some, Honorable Speaker, by even making calls over lunchtime, putting specific questions to nominees, and I'm sure many of the committee members were able to represent their people by asking some of the questions that members of the public wanted to be put to these nominees, Honorable Speaker. And it's in great appreciation that our country has come of age, that Kenyans now are very conscious of what is going on in their country. And I'm sure, Honorable Speaker, last week, from 8 in the morning to 8 p.m. in the evening, Honorable Speaker, many Kenyans were glued to their TVs, watching and participating in the vetting exercise. And I'm sure even as we seek to approve these nominees, Honorable Speaker, they will agree with many of us and many Kenyans that indeed these are nominees who have passed the test of time, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, without delving onto the issue that have been raised in the minority report, Honorable Speaker, the area where we could not agree between us and those who are in the minority, Honorable Speaker, was more ideological than anything else, Honorable Speaker. Because there are those of us who believe that in line with our Constitution, Honorable Speaker, every Kenyan has the right to assume, or rather to carry the presumption of innocence until you are proven guilty by a competent court of law. And it is indeed true, Honorable Speaker, that the Honorable Aisha Jumwa has been charged in court, but there is no court in the Republic of Kenya that has passed any judgment on the Honorable Aisha Jumwa, on the Honorable Mithika Linturi, and indeed, Honorable Speaker, it is worth noting that the criminal case that had been leveled against Honorable Mithika Linturi, or Senator Linturi, was actually withdrawn by the office of the DPP, Honorable Speaker. I know those in the minority, Honorable Speaker, did observe that the Honorable Linturi, without prompting from anyone, volunteered information to the committee that he had another close to 35 cases in court. But he was emphatic that none of those cases that he's prosecuting in court or the cases that he has in court are criminal in nature. They are all civil cases. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, it was with that in mind that we thought, those of us in the majority, and I want to beg with this House to agree with the majority, that these two nominees are presumed innocent until they are proved guilty in a competent court. And since that has not happened, Honorable Speaker, it is only right that we give them the benefit of doubt. And in line with our statutes, Honorable Speaker, and our Constitution, should any of them, even those who have no cases in court, Honorable Speaker, should any of these nominees ever be found guilty of any criminal offense, Honorable Speaker, it is within the powers of this House to impeach and recall that cabinet secretary. And indeed, we did put that question to one of the nominees, whether if they were to be found guilty, they would be willing to take responsibility. And I believe many of them, or rather most of them, those who had cases, were emphatic that should they be found guilty, they would be willing to take responsibility like others before them, Honorable Speaker. But it's only fair, Honorable Speaker, that we ensure, Honorable Speaker, that we do not become the judiciary. We allow the judiciary to do their work. We allow the office of the DPP to do its work without interfering with their work. And even these nominees are not in any way interfering with the cases that had been filed against them. Even the one whose case was withdrawn was on the DPP's own volition. Upon the complaint